A Short History of the United States by Edward Channing. Chapter 11. Britain's Colonial System. 103. Early Colonial Policy. At the outset, England's rulers had been very kind to the Englishmen who founded colonies. They gave them great grants of land. They gave them rights of self-government greater than any Englishman living in England enjoyed. They allowed them to manage their own trade and industries as they saw fit. They even permitted them to worship God as their conscience told them to worship him. But as the colonists grew in strength and riches, Britain's rulers tried to make their trade profitable to British merchants and interfered in their government. On their part, the colonists disobeyed the navigation laws and disputed with the royal officials. For years, Britain's rulers allowed this to go on. But at length, near the close of the last French War, Mr. Pitt ordered the laws to be enforced. 104. Writs of Assistance, 1761. It was a good deal easier to order the laws to be carried out than it was to carry them out. It was almost impossible for the customs officers to prevent goods from being landed contrary to law. When the goods were once on shore, it was difficult to seize them, so the officers asked the judges to give them writs of assistance. Among the leading lawyers of Boston was James Otis. He was the king's law officer in the province, but he resigned his office and opposed the granting of the writs. He objected to the use of writs of assistance because they enabled a customs officer to become a tyrant. Armed with one of them, he could go to the house of a man he did not like and search it from attic to cellar, turn everything upside down, and break open doors and trunks. It made no difference, said Otis, whether Parliament had said that the writs were legal. For Parliament could not make an act of tyranny legal. To do that was beyond even the power of Parliament. 105. The Parson's Cause, 1763. The next important case arose in Virginia and came about in this way. The Virginians made a law regulating the salaries of clergymen in the colony. The king vetoed the law. The Virginians paid no heed to the veto. The clergymen appealed to the courts, and the case of one of them was selected for trial. Patrick Henry, a prosperous young lawyer, stated the opinions of the Virginians in a speech which made his reputation. The king, he said, had no right to veto a Virginia law that was for the good of the people. To do so was an act of tyranny, and the people owed no obedience to a tyrant. The case was decided for the clergyman, for the law was clearly on his side. But the jurymen agreed with Henry. They gave the clergyman only 1 farthing damages, and no more clergymen brought cases into the court. The king's veto was openly disobeyed. 106. The King's Proclamation of 1763. In the same year that the Parson's cause was decided, the king issued a proclamation which greatly lessened the rights of Virginia and several other colonies to western lands. Some of the old charter lines, as those of Massachusetts, Connecticut, Virginia, and the Carolinas, had extended to the Pacific Ocean. By the Treaty of 1763, the king, for himself and his subjects, abandoned all claim to lands west of the Mississippi River. Now, in the Proclamation of 1763, he forbade the colonial governors to grant any lands west of the Alleghany Mountains. The western limit of Virginia and the Carolinas was fixed. Their pioneers could not pass the mountains and settle in the fertile valleys of the Ohio and its branches.